G'day, how's it going? I'm doing very well and I hope you are too. In this video, I'm going to show you some magic. But when I say magic, I don't mean David Copperfield or Dynamo. No, those magicians do tricks and by definition, a trick is not real. The kind of magic that Ukrainian Grandmaster Vasily Ivanchuk creates on a chessboard is absolutely real. Ivanchuk was ranked number 10 in the world at 19, and with a peak rating of 2787, he's been at the very top for more than 30 years already. And it's very interesting because, like the best wines, Vasily has become better with age. No kidding, just look at the stats. World Rapid Champion at 46. 46! I mean, some grandmasters have given up chess altogether before they get to 40. Also, his rapid rating at 47 was an incredible 2844, and also at 47, his blitz rating was 2811. I'd like to know what Carlsen's rating will be at that age. Ivanchuk is about to turn 50, and his standard time control rating, the one that really matters, is 2713 as of January 2019. Beat that, Magnus and friends! Alright, let's get on with the first game, and it was played back in 1985, many years ago. White was international master Murshid from Bangladesh, Ivanchuk was black, and something very interesting happened in this game. Let's see it. Okay, we've got a Queen's Gambit. And here black can go bishop b7, knight b d7, or he can also take on c4. And the idea behind this move is to hang on to that pawn by means of b5. But this comes with a price, because white can now go e4, and he's got the center. It's a knight center. He's threatening to take this pawn, and on top of that, he's also threatening to go e5. So black decides to go b5, defending that pawn, and white now goes e5. The knight on f6 is pinned. We can break that pin by going h6. The bishop is under attack, the bishop retreats, and now we go g5. Now the main line here begins after knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and there are several moves that we can play here. In this position, white's getting his piece back, and on top of that, he's got this h pawn. It's a protected pass pawn. So the position becomes very, very sharp. Many games have been played by grandmasters from this position. Apart from knight b d7, we can also play moves like bishop to e7 here. And this also leads to a very interesting position. Takes, takes, queen takes, and now after g3, we can play at bishop here, and then bishop here, which seems to threaten knight takes b5, but black can go knight to a6 here. This is a very interesting position, because if white takes on b5 now, there are a couple of moves that black can try. He can actually take that knight, and after bishop takes, we've got knight here. This is very interesting, because if white decides to take the rook, then the position after knight d3 check, king here, and now queen takes d4. Black's a whole rook down, but this position is actually better for black. This position is extremely difficult for white. It's been analyzed by computers, and it's supposed to be really good for black. A whole rook down. Okay, so in this position, back to this position after knight b4, white can castle here, which is much better, and then we can play a move like rook to d8, and the game becomes, as I said, incredibly sharp, because this pawn is on. Maybe we can put the knight on d3. Black's got the h-file, extremely sharp position. Okay, but let's get back to the game. After pawn takes h4, white's got this knight e5 move, which is very interesting because he threatens knight takes f7. This is a well-known variation. It's one of the sharpest lines in the Botvinnik system. White's threatening knight takes f7. For example, if we go bishop b7, white sacrifices on f7, and when we take back, he's got this queen check. If we retreat our king to g8, then queen to g6 wins on the spot, or if we take on f6, then he's going to go queen takes h4, and because of this q-up, we're going to lose our queen. So after queen takes f6, which is the best move, white now should try to put his bishop on g2 or f3. Both moves have been tried here, g3 and bishop e2. In this game, white played g3. And then he's going to put that bishop there. It's going to be a very dangerous bishop. There will be threats against c6, but also knight takes b5. So in this position, black now goes knight d7. Taking on c6 now is probably not a very good move because black gains time to put his bishop on b7, and then he can play it rook to c8. So in this position, since black is threatening to take on e5, white defends that pawn with queen to e2. And now the old move in this position was knight takes e5, but in this game, Ivanchuk tried c5. And here, white went bishop to g2, attacking the rook. But now watch what happens because Ivanchuk takes on d4. Now the knight is on. It's easy to see that if white takes the rook, then we take on e5 or on c3, and we get lots and lots of compensation. But white's got an intermediate move. He can take on d7. Our queen is on. We need to take back. And then, again, if we take the rook, it's easy to see that black takes on c3, and he's got an incredible game. So white's got knight to d5, and this is a very annoying move because if we retreat our queen to d8 now, suddenly white's got queen to e5, and watch this, the rook on h8 is on, and the threat of knight to c7 is also incredibly annoying. So in this position, after knight to d5, Ivanchuk went queen to g7, double exclamation mark, covering the e5 square and inviting white to go knight c7, which he does. Check, king here, knight takes rook. And in this position, white's a whole rook up. And this queen doesn't look particularly active. I mean, what does black have? Well, he's got these incredible pawns, and he's got this check as well, forcing the king to move somewhere. King to f1 looks like the safest square, and then we're going to go d3. The queen is on, and also the pawn on b2 is on. And this is black's whole idea. He wants to get those pawns rolling. He wants to take on b2, and then those passed pawns will be incredibly strong. Don't forget that white's knight cannot come out. The c7 square is covered, and b6 is not a good square because black can simply take it. So all in all, if black manages to take on b2 and later on win the knight back, he's probably winning. Let's see what happened now. Queen to d1, queen takes b2, rook to b1, and here we go queen to d2. If the queens come off, the endgame is incredibly difficult for white because black's two passed pawns are going to be just too powerful. So in this position, white tried f4, but as I said, the endgame is just too difficult. This is what happened in the game. Queen takes, rook takes, king to e7. If now the knight tries to run away with knight c7, we can simply go bishop here, knight here, and bishop here, and the knight is trapped. So that means that knight is going nowhere. So white tried rook to b1, bishop here, and already c3 and c2 becomes a threat. King here, c3. Look at those passed pawns. They're worth more than a rook. Rook to b3, b4. This move attacking the pawn, rook c8, intending c2, and in desperation, white now tried rook takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, but after rook takes, the endgame is completely winning for black. After king d1, bishop check, king here, rook here, takes, check, king here, and rook takes pawn, the endgame is hopeless for white, and Murshid resigned. Now I'm going to tell you something very interesting. I'm going to tell you what happened that night because I was very curious, and when I finished my dinner, I went to the table where Ivanchuk was having dinner with his coach, and I asked him, "Do you make that up during the game? That was an incredible game." And Ivanchuk was kind enough to say, no, this is old book. I I saw this idea in a game in Chess Informant, which is the information source that chess players used at the time. And I went, wow, I didn't even know this game. And as I was leaving the table, I heard Ivanchuk's coach yelling at him because he must have been really upset for revealing part of his preparation. But I mean, anyone could have guessed that this game would have been published in Chess Informant before. So I think his coach was unnecessarily hard on Ivanchuk. All right, let's go back to the game that Ivanchuk was referring to. Let's see the position. Okay, they got to this point, and yeah, okay, this position. And the move that was played in that game, and the game is Municic against Jovic. It was a correspondence game which started in 1981. I don't know when it ended because sometimes correspondence games can last more than several months or even years. So it started in 1981. I don't know when it finished. But the game went like this. Here white played queen to f3, possibly intending queen takes f7. So black went f5, queen to b7, and now that queen looks pretty active. Maybe queen to b8 is a threat, maybe queen takes pawn is a threat, and after taking the pawn on a7 the knight can come out, or maybe the queen can come to b6 from a7 and attack the king. So here black took the pawn on a2, the rook is now on. So white doesn't have time to pick up this rook because queen takes rook would be checkmate. So white went queen to c7 check, king to e7, and now he pinned that rook. Maybe rook d8 can be played here, but in this position black played an incredible move. He went h3, double exclamation mark. He doesn't care about bishop on d7. Queen takes, king to f6. And now this rook is in trouble. If the rook goes to d1, we can just go queen check and pick up the rook. And checkmate is being threatened. So the rook went to e1. And in this position, black took. He cannot take back because of queen there, checkmate. And the threat is queen e2 or queen takes f2, checkmate. So queen d4 is now forced. King to g6. He's in trouble. He needs to do something about those threats. So white played queen to e3, and after c3, white actually resigned. For example, if he takes the bishop, then we go d2, and if the queen goes to d1, we deliver this check, king to g1, queen takes c6, we threaten checkmate on g2, and also c2 and c1. I mean, this is an incredible game on its own. It's no wonder that Ivanchuk liked this game so much and he tried to repeat it. I mean, the first, 20 moves were exactly the same up to this position, with queen d2, and then f4 was played in that game. Fantastic stuff, very interesting. Also, Ivanchuk's coach behavior, I think it was a little over the top, or a lot over the top, and completely unnecessary. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, this was the first game from Ivanchuk. There's a lot more to come. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.